Hello there my darlings, and welcome back to another little episode of WARFRAMEs. And today, as you can see on the screen, we are taking a look at AMPS, and this episode was inspired by one of my Discordians and my YouTube member. I believe he's a wolf barbarian, our beloved Hamdalf, and Hammy will turn up later in this video, as will another member. And I just want to say thank you to you guys for all the support, and if you watching this find this video at all useful or even remotely entertaining, please consider dropping me a like, comment and or sub, because it keeps me going, it keeps me motivated, it shows your support, and it's just really easy to do. So let's get into the mystery of the modular AMPS. And in the game there are two NPCs that will sell you component parts for your AMPS. And the first one is Quilonco on Cedus, and you have to have completed Sire's Vigil quest and the Wall Within to access Quilonco, and his room is around the back of Konzu, and you can only access it as your operator, and this is where you will come and buy your component parts, among other things. He does sell lots. And the other person is the NPC at Fortuna, so you will have had to do the Vox Solaris quest, and then I believe you have to rank up fully at Fortuna to enter the back rooms, go past the Profit Taker table, and then here's Little Duck. Again, you can only speak to her when you are your operator. If it's not working for any reason, you need to go off and complete the Wall Within quest, and you have to have spoken to Quilonco before you speak to Little Duck. So the first thing to note is you will be given a moat amp when you complete a certain quest and initiate yourself with Quilonco. This is just a pre-built basic moat amp to get you on your way. However, there are better amps to be had in this game, 110,000%. And we need amps for taking on Eidolons, Thrax Centurions, Void Angels, there's all sorts of things, and they're actually very good. And making this video again has helped me realise just how good they can be. So a lot of people get confused about the tiers of the amps and how they should build them. So let's break it down. Every single amp that you build will need 3 components, and that will always be a prism, a scaffold, a brace. And you unlock them as you go through your unlocking your ranks, as you would with any syndicate with Quilonco and then Little Duck. So tier 1 prism, scaffold and brace, for example, will be the Raplak prism, the Penka scaffold and the Clapcra brace. This is classed as a 111 amp, and as you can imagine, it then goes upwards. So at rank 2 with the quills, you will unlock tier 2 amp, which is a 222 amp, and this continues in the same vein for the 333 amp and the 444 amp. You unlock it at rank 3 Quilonco and rank 4 Quilonco, and then this is where people get confused. You go to Little Duck, and when you rank up to level 2 with Little Duck, that is when you unlock tier 5, the 555 amp. And Little Duck, as you can see, has 3 different sets of amp components here, and you finish unlocking them at rank 4 here with Little Duck, which is also known as Vox Solaris. So there are 7 tiers of amp component parts, and the ones that you see on the right there, the Kimura Prism, the Proto Scaffold and the Certus Brace, those are the 777 amp components. So those are the most sought after, because there is an assumption that the higher you go in the tiers, the better the parts are. Now, I kind of agree with that, and I had a 777 amp built as my main amp for a very long time, but for the purposes of this video, I have created 2 more different amp combinations that I didn't have before. So I basically had built like the 111 amp, the 222, the 333. I think the only combo I'd done was at tier 4. I'd mixed and match it. So this is the most important thing we need to tell you. You can mix and match the tiers once you've unlocked them all. I mean, you can mix and match them before you've unlocked them all. You can bounce between a prism from tier 1, a scaffold from tier 4 and a brace from tier 5. It's entirely up to you, whatever you've got access to. But obviously there are sort of ideal ones for specific missions, and I'm going to take you through that in this video. And before, well, I'm going to show you, I'm buying parts right now from Quilonco, and obviously they cost standing, but I just wanted to mention that the prism will always be in position 1, the scaffold will always be position 2, and the brace will always be position 3. So as you look at the number 111, the first 1 means the prism, the second 1 means the scaffold, and the third 1 means the brace. So if you change the number and you see 147, that means it's a prism from tier 1, a scaffold from tier 4, and a brace from tier 7. And I'm not going to take you through all what the different parts do when you build with different parts for your amps. I will link the WARFRAME wiki page so you can go over it if you like. But for instance, this path scaffold, it launches energy discs that ricochet off victims and surfaces, vectoring toward a new target with each strike. So the scaffold, the prism and the brace all play a different part in making your amp behave differently, and that's gonna it really is like a play style thing, and I will show you the difference between 2 or 3 of them that I've built. And you can also see it's going to cost me 2,500 standing with Quilonco to buy this one, so I'd have to earn standing with Onco, and I also need other components to build it. So Grokdrol, Ceram, Beetle Shells, Pyrotic, Alloy and Heart Nifs. The Pyrotic, Alloy and Heart Nif, those require their own blueprints that will be bought from Cetus and Fortuna, and it'll be the same with Little Duck. There's going to be things and components you're going to need from Orvalis. I'm not going to go over every single one. Use your noggins, go and find it, write a list, and then go and find where you need to get that thing from. But it's usually going to be on Cetus and or Fortuna. And before we start building these things, a good thing to remember is that the prism determines the main firing mode, so the primary mode. The scaffold determines the alt fire, so secondary, and the brace determines like other stats, so like your buffs and your boosts, and the arcanes that you put in eventually are also going to help with that. And focus schools when you're doing certain fights are incredibly important, and I'm going to go over the focus school that I tend to lean towards when I'm doing certain fights like Eidolon, the Thraxes, the Void Angels, etc. Okay, so your next step is to come back to your foundry, and your modular tab on your foundry will have all of your parts that you bought in there, and it may be that you need to build some other component parts. So here you see me building Marquis Fists and Pyrotic Alloy, and I was cutting it close. I didn't have a huge amount left, but I bought basically 6 more blueprints to build for the purpose of this video. And each component blueprint costs 5,000 credits to build here, and it takes an hour, which I think is reasonable. And once it's built, you come back and claim it. And here you see I have the Clamora Prism, the Pard Scaffold, and the Certus Brace ready to go. This is a 747 amp. And once you have claimed these beautiful, shiny, newly built parts, you're going to head back to Quilonco or Little Duck, depends who you've unlocked or who you've got the most standing with. At this point, it's not going to cost standing. We're going to assemble the amp parts by choosing this option here, and it's going to cost us 4,000 credits. And he's going to ask us to choose a built prism, a built scaffold, and a built brace. Now, if they're not built, you can't choose them. You can, but all you're doing is previewing it. He won't actually build it for you because you don't own those parts. So if you've got more than one, just make sure you're choosing the right one. As you can see, I've got the 7 prism, the 4 scaffold, and the 7 brace, and you can preview it. You can have a look at it, you can look at the stats, you can preview it. Gild did even, and I've built it, and this is just the bog standard first build. At this point, we need to rank this bad boy up. So before we do that, we need to make sure we've equipped it. So go back to your operator in your orbiter, go to equipment, press equip, and then it'll take you into your amps if you've got 1, 2, 10, whatever, and you can hover over them here, the ones you've built, and it'll tell you and show you the components you've put into them. I've got a few pre-built ones I haven't really worked on much, so I had to make sure I chose the right one, which was the 747, and I equipped it because we want to use this one. And at this point, there's not much else we can do with it. The 2 arcanes that you see there are actually for my operator. The 2 amp arcane slots are both locked at this point. So as you can see, it says Gild to customize. So we have to rank it up to 30 first before we can guild it. So that's what I did. And I did take an affinity booster with me. I think I had one as my 450th login reward. And as you can see, we are now at max rank amp. Very simple. So the next thing I'm going to do is head back to Quilonco or Little Duck, and we're going to guild this thing. And please note, to guild any of your amps, you need to be adherent rank 3 with Quilonco or hand rank 3 with Voxelaris Little Duck. And you're going to choose other services, and it's the first option on the left there to guild. It's going to cost you 5,000 standing of whoever you've come to, and you can guild with Quilonco or Little Duck, and it'll cost you 5,000 of their standing. And as you can see, it's given me 4 of the different amps that I've ranked up to 30 here to choose from. And when you choose the amp to guild, you get to name it. So I have named it after our beloved Hamdalf. And once you've guilded it, you have unlocked an arcane slot. Very much like getting like a former in, you know, a polarity when you guild your Zors and kit guns, and there you go. Here is where we're going to start talking about arcanes. Now, I haven't tried all the other arcanes that you see on the screen. I have stuck to 2 very specific arcanes. I always have done. And when I started researching this video, it turned out a lot of people also had stuck to these 2 arcanes and a certain school of focus. So as you can see, I am sticking with Eternal Onslaught for now. And to get my second arcane in, I'm going to have to go and purchase an AMP Arcane Adapter from Cavallero at the Chrysalis. So please bear in mind, to access this, you have to have completed the Angels of Zariman quest. You also have to have ranked up fully here at the Zariman to Angel, and they cost 20,000 standing. So it's quite the investment of time to be able to get to that second arcane adaptation point, but boy is it worth it. And this second arcane is Eternal Eradicate. The first one was Eternal Onslaught. First one was a critical chance boost, and this one is a damage boost to your amp. It's very useful. And now we've gilded it, we can make it look pretty. Now, because I'm my drifter, all of my amps look like my Sirocco. Okay, and you get the Sirocco, much like you do with the Moat amp, when you first have access to your drifter. So as I may have mentioned before, I've been using generally a 777 build amp, and it's been okay. It's been fine for Eidolons and Void Angels and things, but sometimes it just sort of felt like it was letting me down a little bit because it's got a very short range. So I was quite interested to try a 747 amp, which you've watched me build, and now I'm just gilding the 147 amp that I also built. And this is also named after one of my Discordians and one of my Wolf Barbarians. His name is Anomalous, but I've called this one Anomaly because it rhymed with Hammy, and Handalf's name is Handalf. You know, I just like the Y on the end. So Anomalous, this amp is named after you. It's called Anomaly. And I gilded it, and I've been testing them both out. So I had to re-rank them both up. Now, Hammy never got back up to 30 because I didn't have time. But Anomaly did, and that kind of showed that Anomaly amp 147 was killing stuff better. With both of these arcanes in as well, the Eternal Onslaught and Eternal Eradicate. But what I want to talk to you about is the focus school that I've been using with them, and it really does make a massive difference. So I've never done a focus episode, but I highly recommend leveling up or ranking up as many of your focus trees as you can by inserting lenses into your favourite warframes and weapons once they're fully ranked. Getting those lenses, that's a whole other thing. But the Magi School of Focus married up with the Operator stroke amps just elevates the damage. So Magi is a damage buff essentially to your amps, your Operator, and it can drench the enemies in like void energy, which makes them even more susceptible to damage. That's its second ability. And it has a waybound ability, which increases the Operator amp and void beam energy capacity by 40% and regen by 60%. All these things make a huge difference. Now, I know that it takes quite a lot of standing focus, I should say, to rank up. It takes like 9 million. But if you keep chipping away at these focus schools, and again, I can do a separate episode for these focus schools, I can guarantee you Magi, Uneru, and Zenurik were my first 3 that I really wanted to fully rank up and unlock the waybound abilities. Again, separate episode. But I always use Magi when I'm thinking about using my amps. So I will definitely use Magi when I'm doing Eidolons. That makes it so much easier. And when I'm doing like the Omniafishes on Lua Circulus and those Thrax Centurions or whatever they are turn up, these amps melted them like in seconds. And I'll be honest, I'm going to show you the footage now. I did Eidolons and Void Angels with both of these amps, and they were both good in their own way. One seemed more powerful, but it also seemed a bit slower, so I balanced it out, and one wasn't fully ranked. So Hammy, you were only at 24 when I used you to do an Eidolon and a Void Angel, and you performed so well. And Anomalous, you also performed very well, but you're just a bit slower, that's all. But you were at rank 30, and you melted everything, right, in a nice way. And the Magi School of Focus just made the melties even more melty. Do you know what I'm saying, though? So we're using Anomaly first for the Eidolon hunt. I went solo and I took my Vault build. I think I've done a separate Eidolon video if you're interested in that build. I may have improved it since then. And Anomaly was the 147 amp, if you recall. And this is fully ranked now and gilded and fully ranked again at 30 with all of the arcanes in that we looked at previously. And its fire mode is very much like a one-shot fire mode, but its alternate fire mode is that sort of disc that ricochets off enemies and causes more damage as it bounces off them. And I kind of found that a little bit irksome in an Eidolon hunt, but it still did quite a lot of damage if I had the order of operations correct. So the reason I bought Vault and Magi is because we're going to pop the Magi, slingshot into the ground, pop the Magirai's ability 1 and 2. Then we're going to pop Eclipse on Volt, put up the screen, do the speedies, and as you can see, it just takes the shield down on the Eidolon very, very quickly. Not quick enough for me. My other 777 amp was quite quick, but once I got the hang of it and like the way that it fired, I actually kind of didn't hate it. But this 147 definitely wouldn't be my go-to choice for doing an Eidolon, but it did take these Vonvalis down really very nicely actually. So after that successful, I mean it was partially successful, I left one of my Eidolon lures somewhere else accidentally and I ended up killing the Eidolon by accident. I wasn't concentrating, but I could have captured it with that amp, no problem. I switched over to Hammy and then I came back out and I did my slingshot into the ground. I popped my Magirai powers, popped all the Volt powers, and look, straight down. Wow, I found this amp, just the way that it shoots as well, the sort of constant beam, just so much quicker to use on the Eidolon, and with the order of operations with the Magirai and the Volt Eclipse boost, oh my goodness, it was so much quicker, and the amp definitely played a huge part in that. And just to remind you, this is the 747 amp that we built near the beginning, and I've been using the 777 amp to do Eidolons. No more, I shall be switching to Hammy full time to do my Eidolons, and this was a rank 24, this wasn't a fully ranked amp, and as you can see I don't have any of my abilities popped on my operator and it's still happily merrily taking down those Vonvalists. Pop. Oh, it's so satisfying. I really like this. I'd be interested to try it on the Tridolon at some point to see how effective it is, but you know, we'll cross those bridges when we get to them. And yeah, there you go, the verdict is in. For Eidolons at least, the 747 is my new favourite amp. So, not one to shy away from testing, I thought I'd come to the Zariman and do this high level exterminate, 110 plus enemies. And I went for the exterminate because the Void Angel was there and I didn't want to hunt for it. It will literally pop up on a sort of waypoint for me. And I wanted to take on Void Angels, high level Void Angels with these two amps. So this is Anomaly and this is the 147 amp. And I found both of these amps, full disclosure, much better than the 777 amp for Void Angels and the Thrax Centurions that come in as well. And I don't know if you saw that, but it literally tickled that Thrax thingamajigger and it went down like a sack of spuds. And now I did have the Magirai first ability pop, which is the reason why we bring Magirai, because it boosts all your damage as your operator stroke amp. And over to the Void Angel, absolutely, definitely an improvement over the 777 amp, mainly because of the range. I think that definitely helps. It doesn't feel as powerful as the 747, I'm going to be honest, you'll see that in a moment, but I definitely prefer this 147 over the 777. And the only thing I don't really like about this 147 is its fire mode. So its primary fire mode is a one shot, and then its secondary is that disc that goes literally pinging off and rebounding all over the place. So, you know, if you have dense clusters of enemies, it's really damn useful because it pops into those enemies and just ricochets off them all and causes complete chaos. But that feels kind of a little bit like you can't quite predict where it's going. So that is why I'm going to show you the 747, and I think, again, that might be my preference. So yes, for direct comparison, I switched straight on back to Hammy. That's the 747 amp. Went straight back to Quinn, and we're taking on the exact same mission, the Exterminate, level 110 upwards. And as you can see, we're being confronted by a Thrax Centurion thingy. And popped the Magirai first ability, and down they went like a sack of potatoes. And it was very similar vibes with the Void Angel. Don't know if I can work on the Arcanes. I'm not sure if there's better Arcanes to put in for Void Angels. Let me know in the comments. But as you can see, we're not doing too badly. This is solo, high level Void Angel. And it's not like taking forever. And also the energy pool just feels a little better with this one. And I think because it's a long beam and you don't have to keep pressing fire. I haven't tried the alternate fire actually on this one for the Void Angel. It just felt a little bit like more linear, and we just got it done. It just felt good. So I don't know what I did in the second round, but it took the Void Angel's life down much quicker in the second go, like crazily quick, as you could see. So I don't know if I got another boost or a damage buff from somewhere. I could have sworn I had my Magirai ability popped in the first round, but maybe I didn't. If you spotted what was going on there, please let us know. I'm not too bothered about the details personally, as long as it's working. it's working. And I've got the Arcanes that I said in, and I'm using Dante on this occasion, so I don't know if that impacts how my amp works, but I'm not complaining either way. So I highly recommend the 747 amp. The 777 is fine and the 147 is fine. If you are not ranked up to whatever did I say, a level 4 with Little Duck, don't worry about it. Just keep building the amps that you've got access to. I should mention here that the prism is the thing that earns you affinity, and once you've ranked up a prism, so you rank it up to 30, you gild it, then you earn affinity from it, which goes towards your mastery rank. Once you've done, say, the Raplac prism once, just because you use that Raplac prism maybe another 2 or 3 times in different builds, you won't earn any more affinity from it. That's just how it works. Same with the kit guns, anything modular, the thing that gives you affinity, you can only earn that affinity once from that item. Just to clear that up in case you're wondering. And let me know where you're at with your amps. I know that these builds are quite a way into the game. I'm not like recommending it, like I haven't really recommended a lower level amp because I haven't used them much, I'll be honest. The other ones that I built, the 111, 222, 323, I just built them as I went, and I just would switch to those, rank them up and use them in place of the one below it. And then if there was something that I like, I would have a look at the thing that it was that I like, whether it was the way that it shot, like single shot, a beam weapon, the distance, whether it was like a cannon, you know, like it's alt fire. I'd look at that component and see which one I preferred, and then I would use that in my next build with like higher up pieces maybe. But I didn't go too crazy with the amps because I knew that I was always working towards those higher level amps. And like I said, the 147 is very good, so you could just switch out the 7, the brace, for a different brace. That just gives you different boosts and buffs, and you could just look at the lower level ones that you might prefer. But the 1 and 4 I think is very obtainable because that's just rank 4 with Quill that you'd have to get to build that, and then put any brace that you can get your hands on with it. So the 147 is very good, that's what I'm saying. So if you can't get to the 747 yet, don't stress, don't be mad at me. Like, I've been playing this game for many years. I've had 2 different accounts. I'm technically a mastery rank 64 at this point. I've got many hours in this game and I've accrued a lot of stuff. So that being said, I always say it in a lot of my videos, if you're feeling frustrated or a bit, you've watched this video, you know me, I'm not a meta player, but you're still feeling a bit left behind and how the hell am I going to get to that point? Come and talk to us in the Discord. There's no rush in Warframe, it's not going anywhere. I know people are in a hurry to get the good stuff. I understand, I'm a gamer, you want the good loots. But part of it is the process, part of it is the journey, and part of it is finding your Warframe friends along the way, and we are here to help you. So the Discord link is on my channel, go and find it. There are Warframers over there. They're all kind of pooling together and pooling their resources and their experiences and their time from all over the world, so different time zones. And it's just a lovely little Discord corner we're building over there. You're more than welcome to come over. It's not just Warframe I play, lots of other games we can talk about. And I'm happy to set up channels if you want to discuss other things. And yeah, you're more than welcome. In the meantime, I want to say thank you for joining me. I do hope this video helped you in some way, or just amused you, or you like my dulcet tones. If I can get a like, a sub, or a comment, any interaction from you, I would be eternally grateful. And if you could stick around, then I'd be even happier, because I just love having you here. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do hope to see you again in the next one, no matter what it may be. But in the meantime, make good choices. You take care now, and goodbye.